Welcome, everyone, to the summer end scissors virtual party. Woo!
Woo!
Welcoming fall. We're all feeling like Leonardo DiCaprio right here in this little GIF. Um, and so we're gonna start off this day, or this party with a few words on scissors, just to give everyone some context. So I was gonna have Janelle give us a few words just on how it was founded, when it was founded, what were the ideas about the organization or starting the organization then and how it's kind of adapted to today.
Great. Thank you. Well, thank you all for being a part of this journey. I got very interested in sea level rise back in 2019 when I was the chair of the Sausalito Planning Commission, and I was tasked with working on our general plan update. That's a 25-year planning document that every California city needs to update. And looking through this 25-year plan, things had really changed. And one of the places that we were really missing out was in some foresight around resilience, particularly around disaster preparedness, as well as infrastructure. And as we began to dive into where we might have housing or economic development, it became clear that we also needed to balance resilience. And we hadn't spent any time doing that. And so I went to the city council and I asked about our sea level rise plan. And they said, oh, yes, the county is taking care of all of it. So the county supervisor at the time, Kate Sears, lives in Sausalito, and I got a meeting with her. And so I marched myself up to San Rafael and I met with Supervisor Sears. And I said, I just want to thank you, as the chair of the Planning Commission, I want to thank you for taking care of sea level rise for Sausalito. And she said, we're not doing that. She said, it's the city. You know, we have a bigger plan and we've done some assessments, but every community needs to take their own individual action, which made sense. So I went back down the city council and I told them that, and they were a little bit surprised. And so I got the Marin County planners to come down and give a presentation. And at the same time, I began to run for city council because I was asking so many questions about, how do we solve this? And people said, well, why don't you try to solve it? So there's a lesson for you. No good deed goes unpunished. And I became so sort of enamored with the topic and concerned that as I was running and hearing feedback from our constituents here in Sausalito, I also launched a nonprofit to be able to kind of hold all that information. And in our first year, we partnered with the Aspen Institute. And we did a big launch party here. It was a great relationship. At the end of the first year, they decided they wanted to focus more on maritime decarbonization. And we wanted to stay focused on how local communities could take action to reduce risk and be more resilient in the face of the impacts of sea level rise. Fred and Mindy graciously and much to my great delight joined the team. And we were off and running with a very focused and renewed mission around this. I got invited to speak at the Monaco Ocean Week, which is also another lesson. Just keep saying yes to people, and you may find yourself at the Monaco Yacht Club talking about sea level rise and oceans. And that put us into a real series of conversations with the United Nations around the world, really focused on how communities around Europe, particularly France, Portugal, Italy, and Spain, as well as the US, were dealing with coastal resilience. Mindy, Fred, and I put together a series of workshops around the US. We went to Savannah, then we went to Tampa, then we went to Providence, Rhode Island, and we finished in Sausalito because we wanted to understand what was keeping communities from taking action. And we found three big ideas that came out of each and every one of those, despite the geographic distinctions. The first was community engagement. No matter how much community engagement you do, you never do enough. And so people will come to the table and say, I've never heard of this. I wasn't a part of the stakeholder group. The second is technical capacity. Some communities don't have a chief resilience officer or sustainability officer or somebody full-time focused on engineering. So there's a real discrepancy from one community to the next on technical capabilities. And then the last was financial mechanisms. How do we actually pay for this work? We published in our newsletter recently the upwards of multi-billions to address that issue for infrastructure in the Bay Area. We see this around the world. And so we began some relationships with the insurance companies to better understand what new financial mechanisms, what new climate risk models were there. And we began to look at parametric insurance, community-based catastrophic insurance, geologic hazard abatement districts, et cetera. Through that work, we became a little bit more focused on doing more climate risk and insurance work. We maintained our core philosophy around community engagement and embarked on a white paper and study led by Fred and Mindy on a youth climate core. And then we also wanted to be able to leverage technology and data, which resulted in what you'll describe for us today, our coastal resilience mapping tool. So here we are today. We are a global nonprofit because we do a lot of work in Europe. Back in 2022, we had a grant from the US Embassy in Paris. And that was quite the year back and forth between Paris and Biarritz, which was really phenomenal. And so we have really great relationships and partners around the world. And what you all were able to do for us this summer, I think, is really elevated and brought us kind of full circle and ready to tackle 26. So I just want to thank all of you for all that hard work.
Ooh, thank you, Janelle. Next, here we are. So a little slide on who is Scissors, and I'm highlighting the people who are on this call today and who have been doing the work this summer. Janelle, Fred, Melinda, myself, Mila, Greta, and Lulu. And today we're focusing on the awesome work of Mila, Greta, and Lulu. So kind of an overview of what this summer had. We have a few of our different programs highlighted here. The intern program is our main summer focus. We also had a newsletter come out by Mila, some work with an East Coast company called Coastal Protection Technologies. We're working on grants and funding and cooking up a maritime convening of sorts. More to come on that later. But let's go into this intern program. And I'm going to have Greta take it away.
Hi, my name is Greta Simpson, and I'm a junior at Cal Poly SLO. My major is marine science, and I'm also minoring in environmental studies, and I'm from Pasadena, California. So throughout this summer and throughout this internship, I focused a lot on the website revamp. And so I thought today I could kind of walk everyone through some of the major updates we made. Hopefully you've seen it already, but if not, this will be the sneak peek into the new design. So, to begin, one of the big changes we made was to the main colors on the website. We decided to go for kind of a more cleaner, modern design with this teal color and light blue with the white background. The before website is on the top, and then the current website is on the bottom here. Um, and working on this kind of design change gave me a better understanding of how important visual communication is, especially how like even just a small color change can really shape the way people experience our website. And as you can see in these before and after images, something we updated was the navigation or our menu on the top. And this new menu kind of highlights the pages most important for the user. And an example also that I like to point out is you can see that before chip in the little button to donate was under more, and it was kind of hidden on the website, but now we have it as its own page on the main navigation, so it's more visible for people who want to support our organization. And then next is part of our resources. This is specifically the sea level rise predictions page. Before, or the old version was kind of just a bulleted list of important information, and it was slightly hard to read. And it was also just on a main page with all of our other resources. So not only did we decide to make it its own page, but we also um, made the new version present the same information just with more visuals and charts and clear messages. And then next up is the coastal resilience resources. So, like I said, this was on the same page before as the sea level rise predictions. And we made it its own page. And something that we did with this was we added buttons so that people can click on the category that they're looking for, such as nature-based solutions or adaptation resources. And doing this kind of made me think also more about accessibility and how to organize information so that people can find what they need quickly. and not having to scroll through the entire list as they did before. So then something else that I worked on was reorganizing the events page. And as you can see in the before picture, the events page used to just be kind of a list of events with it had information on the event, but some of the blocks were different sizes and it just needed a little update. So, what we did was we separated the upcoming events and the past events so you can easily find what's relevant. And then we also added more detail onto each event. And now visitors can quickly see what we have done and what's coming soon. So that was kind of the little sneak peek into the major website changes that I worked on this summer. But like I said, if you haven't seen already, I recommend going through all the pages on our website because it's published now, and see everything that I didn't have time to cover today. But alongside the website work, I also started research for a white paper on some coastal resilience infrastructure strategies. It's definitely still a work in progress, so I'm just going to highlight some fun things I found through my research. But I learned a lot about some strategies for cliff stabilization, and Mila will talk a little bit more about CTC and kind of their solutions for cliff stabilization. But this will be important for places that erosion is a major issue. For me, a place that comes to mind locally is Shoreline Park in Santa Barbara. This would be a great benefit to them. And then also another fun idea that came up in my research was floodable parks. Like you can see in the image to the right, Corktown Common in Toronto. And these are designed to hold water during storms and reduce flooding while they also still function as public green spaces. So these are just some ideas that came up, and then I'm still working on the white paper, so that's coming soon, hopefully. Um, yeah, but basically, that was much of the work I've done this summer, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity I had to work on all these projects. And I gained so many new skills in web design and the different web design programs, and how to make kind of scientific information easier for the public to understand. And for an organization like ours, I learned the importance in making sure that communities can actually find the resources and resilience strategies that they need. And yeah, I'm excited to continue helping out throughout this school year when I can.
Woo, thank you, Greta.
Amazing.
Next, we'll have Lulu.
Hi, I'm Lulu. I'm going into my senior year at UCLA. I'm majoring in geography and environmental studies, and I have a double minor in geographic information systems and technology, as well as environmental systems and society. And I'm originally from Marin County. So, my work this summer primarily consisted of working on the coastal resilience mapping tool, which has been a long time coming. But I got started on this project back in April, and I'm so excited that we were finally able to launch it. So we'll start with a quick tour. Greta and I collaborated on this beautiful video. She did the most amazing editing on it. So yeah.
Ooh.
All right, so that was a brief tour of the CRMT. If you haven't had the chance to go explore it yet, I would absolutely recommend it. There's been a lot of hard work and love poured into that tool, and it has a lot of really beneficial and important information. So just going back to the history of the CRMT, this was a little blurb I got from Grace. A previous intern brought the idea of a scissors mapping tool in the summer of 2024, but it truly began to take shape over coffee with Fred, Melinda, and Grace in the early winter of 2025. Together, they sketched out a vision for a mapping tool that defined resilience through an economic lens, mapping youth climate core sites, blue economy initiatives, and workforce programs against socioeconomic and risk data. Three key features emerged: an interactive context map to show local risks and opportunities, a regional directory for connecting with organizations, and a best practice showcase highlighting global success stories. Grace, you can go. Yeah. So I wanted to really boil it down and answer three questions that kind of came to mind with all the work that has been put into the CRMT. So first, looking at where are resilience resources like workforce development and blue economy programs most concentrated. Our research shows that resilience resource cluster around higher income urban centers. The data shows that programs supporting resilience, such as workforce development, research hubs, and climate innovation initiatives, are disproportionately concentrated in larger cities and wealthier coastal regions, leaving smaller or lower income communities with fewer direct support. Second, how does proximity to universities shape coastal resilience capacity? Proximity to universities strengthens coastal resilience. Areas near major research institutions have more robust blue economy programs, training pipelines, and partnerships that expand community capacity to respond to sea level rise. This suggests academic community linkages are a key driver of economic resilience. And lastly, what investment gaps exist for vulnerable low-income communities facing sea level rise? Investment gaps persist in vulnerable communities. Despite being at high risk of flooding, low-income and underserved neighborhoods have less access to funding, open space preservation opportunities, and workforce programs. Closing this gap is essential to ensure resilience is equitable and not solely tied to economic advantage, and that is a gap that we want to try and close with the CRMT. And then lastly, a little bit of work I did as an intern as well included white paper research. So my topic of interest was the economics of doing nothing, cost projections of inaction on sea level rise in the San Francisco Bay Area. So looking at this first image on the left, it's estimated structural and contents loss, assuming a 100-year storm plus 1 meter, which is about 3.3 feet, in sea level rise. And this is calculated in billions and millions as well. So we can see San Mateo at 32 billion, and then it goes on the highest San Mateo and the lowest at Napa, but Napa is still at $3 million, which is not a small number. And then secondly, on the right, this image on the right shows relocation of sand along the southern stretch of San Francisco's Ocean Beach in the winter of 2016. Storms from the prior wet season were accompanied by modest rainfall and low deposition of sand, resulting in high erosion. So just kind of providing you a visual example of what is at risk to occur and what is already happening. So some other research that I found is that by the end of the century, sea levels could rise up to 6 feet, threatening over 75,000 homes, 200,000 jobs, and more than 2.9 trillion in property and infrastructure value. If we do nothing, studies estimate that the cost of flood damages, lost assets, and disrupted services could exceed 230 billion by 2100. That number doesn't even fully account for displacement, environmental degradation, or the compounding impact on low-income communities. Meanwhile, the cost of adaptation, things like levees, restored wetlands, and floodproofing, is about 110 billion through 2050, but only 5 billion is currently funded, which leaves a $105 billion gap. One example that really stood out to me is a single poorly placed seawall in San Jose could cause an extra $723 million in flood damages to neighboring communities during just one storm. I think that the big picture is pretty clear and that doing nothing is not neutral. It's the most expensive and most unjust option. Every $1 spent on adaptation can prevent $6 to $10 in future losses. So I think the real question isn't can we afford to act, it's can we afford not to?
Ooh, that's awesome, Lulu. Let's come here. Thank you so much. And I am so proud of our interns for all of the amazing work that they did this summer. Just watching the video, I got all giddy looking at how far everything has come. It's incredible. I'm so proud of you guys. And moving on, we're going to go to Mila, our program manager, and look at some of the things that she was able to accomplish over this summer.
Yeah, thank you guys. It's been really wonderful work, and I love to see the presentation of it all. Grace, if you want to hit the next slide. So I joined the Center for CRS Solutions in June of this year, and I've been working as program coordinator and support for a variety of our projects, including the white papers, which are still a work in progress. Um, a little bit of background about myself. I graduated from Cal Poly San Luis Obispo in June of 2023 with a BS in Environmental Management and Protection. And during my time as an undergrad, I worked pretty intensively in sustainable aquaculture and marine science initiatives, which included working at the cultured abalone farm in Goleta as abalone conservation intern under NOAA NIMS Protected Resources Division, and also as a marine science research assistant for the Cal Poly Marine Science Department. But since graduating, I have been traveling a little bit and wanted to join Scissors because I wanted to become more involved in coastal climate resilience initiatives, which directly impact my community. And so I'm really proud of all of the progress we've made that our dedicated team has put into working to develop resources and opportunities in this realm. Um, yeah, so I have primarily been working on the newsletter and some marketing and outreach initiatives through Scissors. Our newsletter will be released bi-monthly. The first one came out on Tuesday. And sorry. This is just kind of an outreach initiative, which is intending to keep everyone updated on the Scissors program and more broader coastal climate programs and events in the Bay Area and across the West Coast. Um, we also recently began a partnership with Coastal Technology Corps, which is a father-son team based on the East Coast, and they design and install coastal erosion and storm surge abatement structures on ocean-facing beaches. And these include a cliff stabilizer, which is a hexagonal structure which can have vegetation incorporated into it, which kind of anchors the sediment down. Also, storm surge structures, which are made out of manila rope, which kind of stop waves from eroding cliff faces. So we're in the outline and proposal stage of a West Coast pilot project to install these structures in Marin County beaches, which face high vulnerability to erosion and storm surge damage. And this will go hand in hand with a grant application that we're working on with the California Coastal Commission. And I was also recently awarded a fellowship for a professional development program in coastal climate resilience at UC Santa Cruz. So I'm very excited to continue my learning journey and to collaborate with professionals working in coastal climate resilience across the United States as a representative of Scissors. And Grace, if you want to click the next page, there's a little um, blurb of our newsletter as well as an option to subscribe to our newsletter on our website, which is on the front page.
Ooh, okay, that was awesome as well. I'm so excited for the newsletter to go out for us to share this awesome work that we're doing. Um, and finally have someone who's well versed and focused on marketing and outreach to get the word out about what we're doing. And so looking ahead, we're going to continue into the fall, making updates to the CRMT as we get feedback, working on more newsletters, the work with coastal protection technologies, working on getting some grants and funding to support our work that we're doing, And then coming soon will be a maritime and sea futures adventure, which more will come out on that as we have more information. Any questions from our team today for the interns or Mila on any of the work that occurred this summer?
I have many. I'm so excited. This was awesome, you guys. If you have a little bit more time, I actually blocked out an hour for this. I have a couple of questions. One is just specific to some of the new white papers that were shared with us today. Greta, yours on infrastructure solutions, and then Lulu, yours on the cost of doing nothing. Where do those white papers stand? Are they complete? And will they be on the website?
They will definitely be on the website. We have a page actually in resources that is for white papers specifically. Um, Mine, I'm not sure about Lulu's progress, but mine definitely still needs a lot of work. But I've been focusing on the website for right now to get that published. And so now I can focus a little bit more time on writing that.
Same as me, been focusing on the CRMT, but then now the white paper gets my full attention. So they're coming
Awesome.
soon.
Great.
And
Well, yeah, go ahead, Mila.
oh, I'm here to provide guidance on those. So those are definitely they were put on the back burner a little bit when we were developing the CRMT, but yeah, I'm super excited for those to come through and be completed.
Well, I wanna add a little bow on that hard work. So, Mila, I haven't written the email to you yet, but I didn't know about this great work on the white paper. So, Lulu and Greta, you both now have emails in your inbox from me. Uh, um, with some additional resources on the work that you're looking at. And I have a very strange habit of writing op-eds that never get published. And so I am going to circulate an op-ed with each one of you to see if you would like to partner with me on publishing it. So Lulu, I think I got around to sending yours in the email, and it is about sea level rise in the economy. So I will send one to you, Mila, and you, Greta, as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. That's really exciting. Um, any more questions or comments from you, Melinda or Fred, on anything that you saw today?
I have one comment. Yesterday, I
Mhm.
was doing some research and I was so excited because when I put in this one, I don't know what letter I was looking for, but our mapping tool came up
That's
and I
so
was so
awesome.
excited. I thought,
Wow.
this is amazing. I think it had to do with what was I looking up? Youth Maritime Collaborative. I don't know, but all of a sudden our site came up and I was really excited. Thank you all for the wonderful work you've done. Wow, it's absolutely amazing.
That is so awesome to see
I
and
was
hear. That is
I
so
was
exciting.
overwhelmed. I was like, oh my God, look, there we are.
Okay, I love it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go just to this slide so you guys can see our thank you. Cheers to this summer and all of the amazing work that everyone did. So I can stop sharing my screen because I keep messing it up. There we are.